There's nothing more humbling and inspiring
and attractive
than witnessing somebody be truly and uniquely exceptional.
Except, of course, for their journeys. Maybe it's luck.
Maybe it's genetics.
Maybe it's work ethic.
Scott and I wanted to see if we could discover what makes some of the universe's most incredible humans the successes they've become, and ultimately find out exactly how they became
so good.
So good. How did you do it? How did you do it? You're so good.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of You're So Good. Today's guest is one of my best friends in the entire world and my bandmate, Kevin Olusola from Pentatonix. He is the beatboxer of Pentatonix, and that is just one of his many talents. He graduated pre-med at Yale. He speaks Chinese fluently. He plays a million different instruments. He is by far the hardest working person I have ever met, and today he is going to talk about how he developed that work ethic and how he got to where he is. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, you guys. What's up? It's Scott and Rozzi, and this is You're
so good.
where we have guests on that are amazing at something.
Amazing. And our guest this week is really amazing.
Not just amazing at one thing, but amazing at like
Too many things for one person.
It is annoying.
It's really annoying.
He's also one of my best friends, and he's in Pentatonix with me.
He's in Pentatonix.
You're one of my best friends, Scott.
I love you.
Oh my gosh, I'd hug you.
Welcome, Kevin Olusola.
Oh,
Okay, so I was too
you.
scared to say your last name. I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I was like, wait, I don't know how to say it.
Olusela.
Olusola.
Olusela.
Yeah. So it has tones in the name. So
Okay.
Olusela.
Olusela.
You are practically Nigerian. This is really great.
Okay, wait. So are your parents from Nigeria?
My dad's from Nigeria and my mom's
Okay.
from Grenada in the Caribbean.
And they were both born those places?
Yes.
So you're first generation?
I'm first generation.
Okay, I need you to can you just tell me what happened from day one in your life? Because your story is so crazy.
There's a lot that's happened. I mean, it's a big story. I mean, where are you born?
Where were you born?
So I was actually born in at Huntington Hospital in
Okay.
Pasadena.
Okay.
But then I moved probably when I was like 6 months old to Philadelphia, practically Hershey,
Okay.
Pennsylvania, and then Philadelphia because my dad, who's a doctor, he was finishing psychiatry residency in Philadelphia.
So Kevin is in Pentatonix.
In Pentatonix.
Grammy award-winning Pentatonix. If you guys have ever heard this podcast, you already know everything about Pentatonix because
Yes.
of Scott.
But Kevin, I mean, has achieved everything. He's like speaks
so
Chinese
proud.
fluently. He
Yes.
graduated Yale pre-med.
You play cello
I do.
like a master.
Very kind. Thank you.
It's like messed up. So so basically, like, the concept of this podcast is to find out how people got so good at stuff.
Sure.
Like, and there's no rule on what stuff.
Right.
Like, we've had guests of
Right.
many different skills, and you're such a perfect guest because you clearly know how to get good at stuff. Because you're like really good at like a lot of things. Like,
a work
not-
ethic queen. If I know
work
anything
ethic.
about Kevin, he's inspired me in these 7 years, 8 years, 9 years.
No, eight. Almost eight. Almost eight.
And I've always been so
Crazy.
inspired because his work ethic is unmatched. Actually,
you're
y'all
so
are my
kind.
two hardest working
Oh my
friends.
God, thank you. The rude thing about that sentence is somehow you have more skills than me.
No,
so
stop.
I don't know what
You
that's
are like
saying.
the queen of singing. So listen.
Okay, wait. Start over. Just tell us like
Yeah.
where you're from, when you were born, what happened.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so my dad is from Nigeria. My mom's from Grenada. And then they came to the United States separately, but they resided in Pasadena, California. Well, actually, they were residing in Loma Linda because my dad was studying for an exam that allows foreign residents to be able to do residency in the United States. And my mom was doing her MPH at Loma Linda University.
What is an MPH?
A master's in public health.
Wow.
Smart parents.
Yeah, so they're great. I love them to death.
So you have amazing parents. That helps.
No, my parents are. I do love
Genes.
them.
That's how you get great at things.
Yeah. Well, but I think it's definitely genes. But I think when there's an immigrant mentality that is
Totally.
so important
Interesting.
here because you come here and this is a land of opportunity and you see a lot of people coming to the United States and they want to maximize the opportunities they have here. Where they see a lot of people here that have kind of been privileged with already being in America.
Right.
So they see that they might not be utilizing the opportunities as effectively as they can.
Yeah,
And
they're
also-
taking it for granted, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think one of the things my parents have definitely learned is that in America, especially as an African or an African American, you really do have to work twice as hard to get half of what other people may get. So
Right.
they always made sure I kind of understood that because it's just harder. So I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons that my parents said, if you're going to go to school, go to an Ivy League school, because for
Right.
you, people are going to look at you and think one thing, and you want to be able to kind of stop them in their tracks and say, hey, no, I actually have these credentials. I have these,
Right.
this pedigree. So you can't just look at me and think one thing. Like there's something to back it up.
Dope.
What was the first thing that you mastered in life?
Mastered?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like, what was the first thing you were good at? What was the first thing you had attention for?
Probably academia, because I skipped kindergarten and went to first grade.
Because you were a brainiac.
Well, my parents did something, which was kind of interesting. So when I was like 1, 2, 3 years old, I would do hooked on phonics with them. And then they would teach me multiplication and division. And then my dad would also teach me science.
When you were what age?
Like 1, 2, 3 years old. He
my
would start very, very early. So like I knew how to read by the time I was like 4 years old.
That is cool that you had a head start. And honestly, those are formative years. And so your parents probably
Yes.
just instilled work ethic
Yeah.
from age like 3. And so
Well,
you were set.
I think what it is more curiosity, because I think that's the thing you need the most in life. If you're trying to do anything, like
Yeah.
the
You have to
people
like
that
care about
Yeah,
that.
you have to care.
Yeah.
You have to
want to get better.
Exactly, and I think that's the only thing that'll help you further your path.
That's really
So the
dope.
first thing you said you got like good at was academia.
Was academia? Yeah.
So you were just good at school.
Yeah, school
Yeah.
was, I think, the thing that always. It's funny because I when people say you're so good at music and things like that, I to be honest, I don't think I'm really great at any of those things. I think what I'm good at is being a learner and curious.
Didn't I say? Oh well,
Yeah.
my
'Cause I
version
think
is
that's what helps.
I've asked this question on the podcast. I've asked like, what do you think? Like I remember saying to Scott, like you're famous for being a singer, but what do you think is your like natural gift? Like what do you think you were actually born with?
Yeah,
and
I
I
love
always
that
say that
question.
mine is that I'm good at work, like getting good.
Right? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
y'all
yes.
actually had that in common.
Yeah.
Very dedicated.
Yeah.
You'll sing Love on Top every day for 4 years. You master it.
Yeah, so it's like, but I like how you're saying like curiosity.
I think it's
Like
curiosity.
you're interested in stuff.
Yeah, just like, I mean, whatever you're, because I think that's the thing. You'll have so much more fun doing it. Like
Yeah.
I'm watching Scott all the time, and he's so curious about how music videos get done and movies and
Right.
pictures, and he's got such a creative mind for taking music and picture and putting it together in such a
Totally.
magnificent way.
Wow,
and I
thank
think
you.
no, seriously, and
Thank
I
you.
think, but that's why I think because you're so curious about that. I think that's why like Vine and Superfruit, like they've been so successful because you're so curious about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes you so brilliant at them. So like,
Wow, we're talking
I think-
about you, not me.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I love talking about me, but
But I'm just saying, I think
Thank
it's
you.
just that ability to be curious and then just go all in
Yeah.
is the most important thing.
yeah.
So was there music in your house growing up? Was that like a part of the?
Yeah, kind of, but not really. My dad and my mom aren't musical people.
Yeah.
But it's funny, on my mom's side, though, my grandfather, he in Grenada used to build guitars and play them. And, the girls liked him.
Yeah.
Right.
He had this, like, beautiful gray hair and, like, yeah, they said it was bad. It was bad. So I guess there was people were musical in my family, but my parents didn't really have that musical ability. But my brother and my sister and I are all musical. Like my brother plays trombone and viola, and my sister and piano, and then my sister plays violin, French horn, and piano. And she went
Wow.
to a boarding school for music called the Walnut Hill School
Cool.
in Massachusetts.
Who's
What
the
all-
oldest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah, so I was the guinea pig.
And what all instruments do you play again?
I play cello, saxophone, and piano. And then I guess
calm down.
beatbox, but like,
Beatboxing.
yeah.
So did your parents just put you in lessons at a young age? Like, did your
Yeah.
parents put you, like, were they the kind of parents that was like, you're going to take an instrument and you're going to play a sport and you're like, did you try everything
No.
or was it up to you?
I tried everything. It was kind of up to me. But they knew music was something I was interested in because they said it was this funny story. When I was 1 year old, they took me from Pasadena to New York where they were doing this road trip. And my dad would go, "If you're happy and you know it," and I would just go,
oh my
at
God.
the right time. Yeah. Like, that's freaky. What the heck? And so that's when they
Yeah.
decided to put me into music lessons.
Oh, okay, so you had it in you.
I guess. But they saw that and they're like, "Oh, this is cool. Let's
That's
do
cool.
something with this."
And I feel like I remember you being like a master of the saxophone first or something.
I
like
did
you
saxophone.
toured, right?
Yeah, so I did this. So when I was 12 years old, I was part of this United States wind band. That basically was high school and college students that toured Europe for 3 weeks. And I was 12 years old, and it was a little crazy because it was was a little bit hostile of an experience because I was 12 and I got the first chair.
Oh my God, and they're all in high school.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
no.
like they're all high school, like college students.
Oh
so
my
it was
God.
just not a great.
Were you bullied by them?
A little bit.
A little
I mean,
bit?
I feel like that's like the experience for if you're doing something like young and well, like
Right.
people are gonna look at you and say stuff.
Jealous.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. But you know, you kind of just like.
How did that
work through it.
happen?
Oh, how did that specifically happen?
Yeah.
So I tried out for all district band in my area, and somebody heard my tape and said, "I actually want to send this to the United States Wind Band."
Wow.
So they sent it, and they didn't tell them that I was 12 years old. They just said
Right.
he was.
Right. Is there an age limit? I'm
No,
my
like,
God.
it's only high school, like
Yeah.
junior, senior, and then usually first year, second year of college.
Damn.
So like when that happened, I like couldn't believe it. So I practiced all summer for the audition, and when that happened, I couldn't believe it. I just like, wow, this is
Wow.
nuts. But
That's
then,
really
and my mom was with me, so that was good.
Yeah.
So she
Aw.
could like protect me, and I could like go to cry to her. I'm like, Mom, no,
Yeah.
I was bullied. Oh my God. But yeah, it was.
when was the
it
last time
fun.
you played saxophone?
Oh my gosh, actually a couple of weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah,
I
because
should
I've
do
been
that
using
with
it.
Pentatonix.
Yeah,
Oh my
no, I
God.
still play.
Wait, you
pretty
should have
often.
it. You should
Oh, cool.
have.
I didn't know that. I've never heard you play.
Well, no, because I've been so for some of the like new music I've been writing, I've been using it as like background tracks to kind of give it a more like worldly
Cool.
sound. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Maybe you should have a moment in the Pentatonix show where you make Kevin play all the instruments.
Oh, the
Oh my
instruments.
gosh, just loop every single
Looping
one.
stuff. That would be sick.
Actually crazy.
Okay, so then when did cello happen? How'd that?
Cello happened when I was 6 years old. What happened was my sister was learning how to play violin from the string teacher in our town, but she was actually a cellist. And so she was studying violin, and she looked at me and said, "Do you want to play the cello?" And I said no, because I wanted to play the saxophone at the time, because I saw Bill Clinton on the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh my God.
Right, right. And I was like, "Oh, that's so dope! I want to do that." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was too young to do it. So what they did is that they gave me this wooden box that looked like a cello, and they started me off on that, and I didn't say
Really?
anything. Yes, and then they said, and then they gave me a real cello, and I didn't say anything. They said, "Hey, if at any time you want to stop, stop." And I just kind of kept going and progressing, and then like honestly, I've never said no, so I haven't stopped yet, and I'm still
Cello's
playing.
hard. It
Cello
takes
is
a lot
hard.
of practice.
Well, and it's so funny when people say like I'm a master at the cello, because to be honest, and I say this in music in general, I love music, but I wasn't like the practicer. I just did music because my whole thing was to be
Interesting. I feel
no.
like that's hard to believe.
Yeah,
No,
that is
no.
hard for me to believe.
People really don't. I did a lot of music, but my whole thing was to be an academic, because once again, I think people would look at me and say, "Oh, of course you're going to be a musician," because I think in society, African Americans are either musicians or athletes. But I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do what you don't expect, because in media, you don't see us being academics. You don't
Right.
see us
Yeah.
being doctors, lawyers, engineers.
Right.
So that's what I thought I was going to do. So I just did it well enough to be able to do these things, but then just focused on school mainly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why in boarding school, like I didn't do as much music as I would have loved, because I was so focused on just trying to get better at school.
Right.
What job specifically did you have in mind for yourself?
I was going to be a surgeon.
Whoa.
That's what I wanted.
Surgeon.
I wanted to be what I wanted to do. Once I finally got to college and understood all the different things that I loved, I wanted to be a surgeon that lived in China that did cultural diplomacy work. That's
so
what I
Scott
wanted.
really kind of fucked up your dream. That
Yeah, you messed
Literally,
it up.
I YouTube
Yeah.
messaged him. And
Thank you.
messed it all up.
Thank you.
Hey, you can still do it.
Yeah, when I'm like 40 and like, I don't know.
Okay, wait. So you were at Yale. What were you studying at Yale?
I was an East Asian Studies major and I was pre-med.
What was the Asian connection? Like, what was drawing you to that culture?
Well, so I was the president of China, who at the time was named Hu Jintao Zhuxi. He came to well, that's his name. He was the former president of China, and before I got there, he invited 100 Yale students to meet him personally and meet his cabinet. And the prerequisite was that you're supposed to be a first year or second year at Yale and have no experience with China, no understanding of Chinese or Chinese
you did not
culture.
speak Mandarin yet?
No, I knew nothing.
So you're one of those assholes who learned that language later in life? Oh my God, Kevin.
I did this 10-day experience. I was one of 12 freshmen that got chosen for this like 10-day experience after my freshman year, and that's when I was like flabbergasted by like everything I saw. I had for the first time a Chinese kid come up to me, take their finger and stroke it around across my hand, and then lick their finger and say, 他是不是巧克力人, which means isn't he a man made out of chocolate? Like things like that. Or like I told a girl to kiss me on the bus when the word for kiss means when. And I thought I said when, which means can you ask me a question? But I told her to kiss me. And then she slapped me on the bus. Like things like that where I was like.
How long were you there for?
I eventually decided to be there for a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, because I got this fellowship from Yale to study at this place called Tsinghua University, but it was a program for basically PhD students who were trying to learn Chinese at an academic level for their
So it was like an intensive to learn.
Very intensive.
So that's when you learned Mandarin?
That's when I learned Mandarin.
Wow.
It was very like all I did literally from 8 to 12. You have like just straight up classes in the morning, and then literally you're studying from 1 until like that's and that was every day. And then you realize that's just you have to live life. So what I did do to continue my Chinese studies was I just found a lot of Chinese friends, and I made sure to not hang out with foreigners because that would make my Chinese level go down.
You have to immerse yourself.
Yeah, like 100%. So that's just kind of what I did.
Do you think anyone can learn Mandarin, or is it like?
No, I do think anybody can learn Mandarin. Now, whether they'll pick it up quickly, that's a different story. Because I think being a musician, to hear the tones,
right?
It's much easier.
It's musical.
Exactly, it's extremely musical. But then I think the grammar is actually extremely simple. I mean, it's more simple than Romance languages. Because with Romance languages, you have conjugations. You don't have that with.
Oh, you don't.
No, it's really like subject, verb, object, you're done. If you want to say...
Can you write in Mandarin?
Yeah. I studied all of that.
You're crazy.
No, it's one of those things. I mean, you remember when we were on the Chinese, the sing-off?
Yeah.
It was...
Yeah.
No, it was just...
We did a song for Chinese sing-off.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Oh my God.
And he was like teaching me how to say everything. It was crazy.
It was really, really fun.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you feel like are you using a similar part of your brain and a similar part of yourself to get really great at the saxophone, to get really great at cello, to learn Mandarin, to sing, to beatbox? Like, is it all coming from the same place?
Oh, interesting.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
Well, I mean, no. Well, I mean, studies definitely show that
Do you approach it the same way?
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I definitely think there is an approach because I definitely want to get a theoretical framework first before I start anything. So that's why, like, with cello, with singing, with beatbox, like I try to learn as much about the theory behind it first and then go ahead and start tackling it, because sometimes I think a lot of people just say, oh, do it many times and you'll get there. And I'm like, yeah, but there are a lot of people that have already been genius level at this, and so if I can just learn from them first, then I can make something.
And what do you mean by that? Like,
so like you've been taking voice lessons, right?
Yeah.
You could have like just sung. Sure, that would have been helpful, but you got a theoretical framework first by going to a teacher who understood things, understood how the voice works.
Academia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we are similar.
Right, exactly. You
love
have to
school.
have that. Yeah, you have like that framework.
That's where I differ. I do not love school.
Right. But like, yeah, I think that's what, if you can do that, you have that, and then you can go ahead and start tackling things. So like, yeah, I mean, I've been like working on like production type stuff, but it's like, okay, watch a lot of YouTube videos, understand how people do it, and then go ahead and start it instead of just like trying to figure it out myself, because like I'm no smarter than these guys. Like, so if they know how to do it at this level, then I'd rather just learn from them.
Yeah. I just had this revelation. I feel like a reason that you're so good at things is because you don't get discouraged. You know what I mean? Sometimes when I'm working on something and you're not good at it or it's tough, you're like, you kind of just like slowly lose interest subconsciously.
Totally.
But you don't. You'll literally just keep going.
Well, you have like a wildly positive attitude that I can feel from 100 million miles away. So.
That's very kind. That's very kind, because I do get discouraged very often. Like you can hear me. Like I've been studying singing since 2015 from like Jeffrey Allen and Dave Stroud, and it's been a very difficult journey, but I think like one of the things that I think really helps me is to like guard my mind in the morning. So like kind of doing like these, like Quincy Jones taught me to do affirmations in the morning, because he said when he does that, then he can affirm the person that he really believes himself to be, not the person that he feels that he is. Because once he does that.
Do you say them out loud?
Yes, out loud every single morning.
Can you give us examples, or is that too personal?
No, I can give you an example. It's all in my notes. For example, like,
I love that.
I have to like.
I-
I'd have to
'cause
literally
when I
write
first
notes of that.
when I
Yeah.
first started writing my last album, when I wasn't feeling very confident as a songwriter,
Yeah.
I would write over and over and over again. I am a prolific songwriter.
Yes.
I did that for like 2 weeks.
You have to.
Because I didn't believe that I was,
Right.
and it really, really worked for me. And I
Right.
don't need that affirmation anymore because I'm like, she's right.
No, I'll do that every once in a while if I get sad or a little stressed out or I'm like
Yeah.
having really bad anxiety randomly.
Yeah.
I'll like go in my notes and I'll be like, you've done this in life,
Yeah.
and you're
Yes.
this, and you have a great family that loves you. Like,
Yeah.
I'll like write all these positive things, and then I'm like, whoa, I feel a lot better.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So like
It's important. It is.
It is. So that's why for me, if I do it in the morning, it gives me the mindset to tackle the day that much better. And so
Wow.
I'm
I think,
actually genuinely gonna try this.
Yeah,
No,
same.
seriously.
Wait, so
You-
in the morning you like wake up and like say it?
yeah, I wake up early in the morning and then I do some stretches because I'm doing some PT stuff. And then I'll read some of these affirmations and then I'll usually watch some sort of YouTube video that's like very motivational or talking about how to be just more like more of a high performer.
Yeah.
And then I'll like pray, do the Bible stuff, and then I'll just start my day that way. Because then I
Wow.
feel like my mind is ready to tackle the day rather. Because I think a lot of times, like when you just start the day, your mind is foggy. You don't
Totally.
have clarity
Yeah.
and vision and focus. And I
Well,
think that's
setting
been
an
the-
intention.
Yeah, setting an
is like-
intention.
it's kind of like I set goals all the time in a
Right.
big picture way, but maybe doing them in a daily, like a day. Because
I think
my
it's-
version of this is I schedule my weeks by the hour, like
Yes.
a
By
deep
By
psychopath.
the minute.
Girl, I will show you.
I
25.
love-
Yes.
I do, and it helps me set an intention for like, what I'm going to get done. But I actually
Exactly.
really like the affirmation thing because that takes it to like another level. It's like my schedule is like an intention for literally what I'm going to get done, but maybe the affirmation is like what I'm emotionally and like
Exactly.
spiritually and like what is my like.
Which is so important because
Yeah.
you can be, I sometimes will get a little more insecure over time and not realize it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Your mental health is like deteriorating, you're not realizing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so those affirmations are a way to ensure that you're like keeping
keep it-
yourself
stay on track.
going and like, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, affirmations.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were just talking about how like every guest we have like says stuff that we just like think about all the
I
time.
think about it all the time. I like
And this is gonna be one of them.
I like all I wanted from this like this podcast isn't even out and I'm like I'm so inspired. Okay, but we haven't even gotten to Pentatonix, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
wait, then you graduate Yale pre-med.
So you graduate Yale.
Well, hold on. Let pause. So what happens was I was in my senior spring semester, so I was about to graduate, and I had applied to music schools. I applied to Manhattan. I was either going to do Manhattan School of Music or going to do Berkeley.
grad school?
For grad school,
Okay.
yeah. Because I was like, you know what? Let me get my music thing out of the way, and then I'll go back to medical school.
Wow.
And so that was happening. No,
No,
that's
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like
amazing.
amazed.
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
That's
So
why I
it's exactly like I was gonna do. So I ended up thinking about Berkeley. I ended up signing to Berkeley because I'm an athlete. And then I put up this video because I was
Wait, Berkeley for what instrument?
for music production.
Oh,
Because I wanted to learn music
wow.
production for fun. Like, just why not? It'd be
Oh
fun
my
to
God.
do before I started to think about.
It's a good thing to know how to do.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great thing to know how to do,
seriously,
right?
yeah.
So I got actually me and Sam Sui got nominated for a senior prize at Yale for the arts. So what we had to do is have this kind of showcase of music on a CD that we sent into the committee.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing this version of Julio, which is a piece by Mark Summer, who's part of the Turtle Island String Quartet.
Mm-hmm.
I did my version of that with cello and beatboxing. And my friend said, you know what, why don't you put that up online for
Yeah.
fun? And I was like,
Yeah.
nobody knows about the song. Nobody cares about the song. This is a
Yeah.
classical piece, like a modern classical piece.
Yeah.
But he said, well, at the end of the day, you have nothing to lose.
Right.
I was like, okay, whatever. So I put it up, and then lo and behold, I got friends telling me it's like number 4 on Reddit.
And it
it's
was
like
you.
going-
I haven't seen
Justin
this video.
Timberlake was like posting it.
Yeah, just
Really?
it was like the most random thing.
So it was like you playing cello and beatboxing.
You have
Yes.
to watch the video. It's
Oh my
insane.
God, I want to. Wait, what's it called? I'll just
It's called Julie-O. Julie-O.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
text it to you.
Yeah. So like that happens. And so at the same time that happens, I'm getting these random offers to do stuff. And I'm like, no. I'm literally just trying to finish my senior essay.
I'm
Because
one
I
of
hadn't
them.
done-
Yeah.
And then you can tell the rest of the story. Scott, you told the
Oh
rest
yeah,
of the
no,
story.
I was with Ben Bram, the
Yeah.
old place he lived, and we had kind of a beatboxer, but we weren't crazy about him.
And this was
But we were
specifically
put-
for the sing off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were putting together
Okay.
a group.
Yeah.
We were going to be 3, and then they were like, "You need a bass and beatboxer." So
Yeah.
I was like, "Let's go find some." And
Yeah.
we found a beatboxer, but we didn't like him, so we went on YouTube and typed in beatboxers.
Oh my God.
And it was that week that he was going viral. So it was the first video popped up.
That is just meant to be.
It's like
Some
serendipitous.
weird.
It was
That's
crazy. And Ben and I watched it, and I was just so blown away. The musicality was insane. And I was like, wait, he's literally exactly who we need. But I was like, it's such a shot in the dark that I'm just going to literally message him on YouTube.
Oh
and
my
I
God.
like YouTube messaged him. You're the only person I've ever YouTube messaged. YouTube messaging is a thing. And,
But I don't think I responded to you for a while.
you didn't respond for weeks.
Because I was literally just like, I
Yeah.
tried to block it out, and I literally had to finish my senior essay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that mattered to me. And then I
my
finished
God.
it.
What was your
And,
essay on?
It's a long story. So basically, I was doing a study on this group called the Uyghurs in Western China, and I was trying to see how the Chinese government looked at them over the period from the cultural revolution up to now, because they had a bad rap with the Chinese government. So I was reading all these Chinese newspapers just to see how that dialogue changed.
I
Damn
literally
it.
can't follow Game of Thrones storylines.
Same. I was just reading all these Chinese newspapers, like trying to understand.
It's so crazy.
Crazy. Okay, so how many? So when you get this message,
Yeah, I get this
So-
message.
And he responds a couple weeks later.
were you
Yes.
nervous that he didn't respond?
A little bit. Well,
Yeah.
I was
You guys already
reaching out
had
to
a
a bunch.
beatbox.
I was like
Okay.
reaching out and trying to find.
But
and
nobody
we had a
was-
beatboxer, and then we were auditioning
Right.
another one. So I was.
Okay. There were
so
other
I like
options.
kind of forgot, but
Okay.
I was like hoping it was going to be him because he
Right.
was the best one of them all for
Right,
sure.
right.
So then he responds and he's like, "I'm interested," and I don't know who I thought I was, but I was like, "Do you mind sending in an audition?" Like, what's wrong with me? I think it was Ben's idea, actually. He was
that's
like,
fine.
let's make sure he can do multiple grooves. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he's a maestro of the cello. But then you didn't respond for another couple weeks.
Right.
And I was like, that was so annoying
We
of us,
lost
of
him.
course.
Yeah.
Your essay.
But
Try to get it done.
then he emails me this like crazy audition tape of you doing all these different grooves.
Oh, great.
Oh my God,
I
I'd
don't
love to
remember.
see that.
Same.
And
I would too.
then I told him, I was like, it's okay, you're gonna get flown out by the sing-off, just lying.
Yeah.
I don't encourage lying, but I was like, we hadn't really been cast yet, but I called my mom and I was like,
Yeah.
please, can you just give me like $400 to fly
Yeah.
this guy out? He's perfect. And I'd auditioned for 19 shows at this point and not made any of them. So my mom was, she was
my
like,
God.
oh my gosh, it's, I don't know, we're helping you with
Yeah.
college. And like, it was like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But
Oh, she made it on that investment. Let me tell you right now.
yeah, but I split it with Ben. We ended up splitting
Oh
it.
my
Right.
God.
And then he flew out and it was crazy.
All right, you guys, that's the end of part 1 of our conversation with Kevin Olusola. Tune in next time for part 2.